I'm sure we've all used the ludicrous excuse on our parents that video games actually have health benefits, just so we can slay a few more dragons and capture a couple more demons. But video games actually have illustrated plenty of perks when it comes to mental and physical health, and quite a numerous few as well. Let's start by combing through a few of the benefits. I find it funny how people have demonized video games simply for the correlation between violence in games and real-world violence. But if people did research, they would actually find that video games have intensely therapeutic properties and can alleviate stress in many individuals that play them. It's quite difficult to not enjoy blowing up a few cars with a modded rocket launcher after a long day dealing with some obnoxious students or coworkers. The act of distracting yourself with something else can be beneficial to the healing of emotional pain or mental illness. Speaking of the mentally ill, students at the University of Utah were responsible for releasing a study touting the conclusion that kids with mental illnesses such as autism or depression can find empowerment and encouragement by playing video games, especially by putting themselves in the shoes of a powerful protagonist that can cut a swath through enemies like soft paper. Some video games, including the one programmed for the sake of this study, take advantage of cognitive functions and a reward system that enhances motivation in kids so that they may wrestle with the daily struggles brought forth by their condition more easily. Developmental psychology has a knack for proving old parental adages wrong for a while now. The whole sitting too close to the TV superstition has been debunked and disproven by many other videos and studies, but it's crucial to include it in this video because of how exactly that works. This is commonplace with video games that have more of a frenetic pacing, such as numerous games in the first-person shooter genre. People who have developed deformities in their cataracts may find these games useful because of their high demand of focus. In the description below, I've included a written interview done with the psychologist responsible for the study. It's actually pretty interesting to read. Video games can make you happier. Obviously. I know when I played through Doom last week, running at a full leg sprint at a demon with a chainsaw made me pretty damn happy. But this point warrants an explanation just like the rest. Most video games rely on a reward system that releases receptors to the brain such as dopamine or serotonin. These neurotransmitters activate a positive emotion when released. Such a positive emotion can be replicated by taking down a powerful final boss or finally solving an intensive puzzle you've been slaving away at for hours since you popped in the game. Even so-called stressful moments in video games that would make most people flip shit and fling their controller through the window, this reward system usually kicks in and prevents the player from achieving a certain level of stress that could be perceived as dangerous. Video games can enforce social skills. It sounds a little unlikely, doesn't it? Let's put our predispositions aside for a little bit and not look at gamers as nocturnal creatures that hiss at the inkling of sunlight or parents. A lot of this research didn't start becoming prevalent until multiplayer experiences were introduced into the mix. Interactions with other gamers online led to loners and introverts finding a place for themselves with people with similar interests. This kindled a sort of social buffing that would otherwise be lost without these interactions. Social groups and sometimes even deep friendships would form simply from the likeness of playing games with each other. How many people get to say a video game played a hand in saving their life? Listen to this. Games that require meticulous behaviors and button-pressing sequences such as Heavy Rain may prove to be a useful tool in the operating room. Doctors and surgeons could give their perceptual abilities a boost by playing this type of game that required close attention to detail. And a statistical study was shown that surgeons that played video games made up to 40% less errors when holding a patient under the knife. And when we're talking about something as life or death as performing an operation, that is a noticeably huge margin. Video games can increase our learning capability. And no, I'm not just referring to being given a long and arduous history lesson by an NPC from Assassin's Creed. The subject matter of most video games that depict historical happenings, regardless of their degree of fabrication, can be backed with cool information. We can derive knowledge of significant battles of American wars from Call of Duty and Battlefield, while preparing for our post-apocalyptic demise with games like Fallout. At the defense of unnecessarily large amounts of flack Grand Theft Auto gets for encouraging violent and inappropriate ne'er-do-well behavior, how many people can honestly say they knew that the phrase Grand Theft Auto referred to the felonious crime of stealing an automobile before they played the game? People use faulty correlations and causalities to criticize video games, saying they are nothing but detrimental to one's health. Well, now you can disprove them. Please share this video and give this awesome knowledge to a friend. Games truly can do more for us than what we think. See you next week.